This animation is part 1 of a 3-part series that unpacks the importance of area-based violence prevention interventions when promoting safety and resilience in South Africa. Building safer neighborhoods: how violence and crime undermine safety and resilience. In South Africa, violence is commonplace, and with each passing year, the number of people who experience and witness violence increases, and so does our national trauma. Violence is the result of deep, complex issues rooted in entrenched systems of underlying social, economic, and political challenges. South Africa's apartheid legacy means that the incidence and impact of violence is spread unevenly across the country, with the poorest communities and marginalized social groups affected the most. Add to this the COVID-19 pandemic and subsequent job losses, food insecurity, school dropouts, and stress, resulting in more people in South Africa who are vulnerable to, are experiencing, and are perpetuating violence. The pandemic has strained our fragile systems, undermining our collective resilience and exacerbating many of the issues that underpin violence. More than ever before, we need to utilize and improve effective area-based violence prevention intervention tools to understand and prevent violence. Risk factors for violence and crime include loss of livelihood, poverty and deprivation, substance abuse, and unsafe, poorly designed environments. At the other end of the spectrum are protective factors, which provide a buffer between risk factors and the adoption of violent behavior. These include a caring family, a strong network, a safe and nurturing school environment, and access to adequate social services. Violence prevention interventions address the risk factors contributing to violence and work towards building a society where securitized approaches like more policing are less heavily relied upon. Clamping down on violence and crime affects only their symptoms. Focusing on security alone fails to address the multiple causes of violence. By changing the emphasis from security to safety, we focus on increasing protective factors, simultaneously stemming violence and crime while improving quality of life and provision of public services. Violence prevention draws on the socio-ecological model to better understand how these interconnected factors play out at an individual level. This approach takes the individual as the starting point and considers the complex interplay between the individual, their relationships, community, and society. By looking at each level of the ecology surrounding individuals, we can unpack what factors put people at risk of falling victim to violence or perpetrating violence. The complexity of violence and crime and their underlying causes mean that a multifaceted and integrated approach is needed at a local level when undertaking preventative work. Violence prevention interventions are by no means a quick fix, but they do provide contextualization and tools to help us understand how violence is articulated and enabled or stemmed. This approach is sustainable over the long term and can be upscaled to achieve wider impact.